What's going on, family? Man, I hope you guys are having an awesome day. It's nice out here, man. Sun is trying to do his thing as it work on Zeus and get it right. Look at that. Look at them. Look at this. Look at this. It's dirty, but it's clean. Zeus dirty, but he clean. Ooh. Yeah, man. So, got a quick one for you, man. Another car review. Let me introduce you guys to my buddy's new ride. Yeah, give me a second.
We're good. Hi.
This has been one in the making, guys.
Yeah, so I've been a little quiet about this for a lot of reasons, but the main reason is this car requires 2.5 metric tons of explaining to do, because I think most people with the brand of Maserati, it's negative connotations.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
People looking like budget ballers, the
Yeah.
real estate agents who want to look a little bit more expensive than a 3 Series.
Yeah.
All of the demographics that have been formed about Maserati over the past decade. And that's an important detail, because I think this was the best they ever did.
There you go.
And I wish that they could go back to something like this, because this is the car that saved what was considered to be one of the most unreliable, slow, difficult to maintain, and overall not worth ownership experiences of any executive four-door sedan you could buy.
Right, right.
This fixed so many issues that this is the one you should consider. If you have intrusive thoughts about maybe I should buy that old Bentley or maybe I should buy that old Maserati, I know it'll be expensive to fix and things like that. This is the car you let your intrusive thoughts win on. This is the one.
So let me ask you this. What are the key factors, in your opinion, that makes this car that car?
It's the GTS. That's number one.
Sheesh.
And if you know anything about rare performance sedans, the GTS in Maserati is king of the hill. And what they did to change this car from a standard Quattroporte and even the earlier Sport GT is significant.
Yeah.
And what those changes are basically this: facelift, 4.7 V8. So the early cars only got the 4.2 liter engines.
Right.
And now those cars are not the worst, but I would say they're far from the best. And I would recommend, if you're buying a Maserati, almost exclusively look for one with the 4.7 engine. It's critical to understand that the 4.2s are extremely susceptible to some of the manufacturing timing chain and cam variator issues.
Yep.
And these cars actually can have the same issues, but it's considerably less likely because the way that you're supposed to drive this car and the way that it operates, and that's a whole other different kind of scenario. So
right, and
key factors with
I'm sorry,
GTS.
go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's a lot to know. This car, it's a ton.
Go ahead, man.
Main things with GTS: you get the 4.7, which is with 10 more horsepower than a regular Quattroporte S.
Yes.
That's not the key factor here.
Okay.
6-piston front brakes, which are specific to the GTS, that you could not get on the S. I think you may have been able to option them later, but I might be wrong. But they are standard 6-piston on the GTS. Bilstein fixed rate dampers, and that is a big one because on every single other Quattroporte that is Generation 5,
Yeah.
they all have something called Skyhook.
Okay.
Skyhook
Oh, that's new to me,
is
bro.
a beautiful name
Yeah.
and a horrible design. Italians love to do that.
Yeah.
Beautiful name, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not brilliant.
Yeah.
And the later Skyhook systems are considerably more reliable. It's a considerably more refined system, but there's always that threat you'll be spending $2,500 a corner on Skyhook suspension.
Yeah.
That's per corner, guys, not the whole thing. And I thought
this
900
stance is nasty too. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I thought 900 was expensive for my adaptive Bilstein shock on the SRT8.
Yeah.
Not even close. It gets way worse. So the GTS has fixed rate Bilsteins.
Yes.
So you're not dealing with those issues.
Okay.
These cars can still have a multitude of bushing related, subframe bushing, control arm bushing, things like that. There are issues that these cars still can have.
Yeah.
But you're mitigating nearly $10,000 of preventative maintenance just by looking for a GTS model. Just for
crazy.
That. And it's important to understand those factors because the most expensive version of this car is the best way to own it, and it's the best experience, and that's why I looked for a GTS. And everyone knows it, and guys want to, you know, I've seen some guys in some Maserati forums, mainly on like Facebook, they're like, oh, GTS is a gimmick. It's like, listen, man, if you want that package out of the box, because you can modify an S.
Yeah, you can build it, but this is a package out of the box. Key phrase.
100%.
Right?
And it's always going to have that street cred in the Maserati world.
Yes.
Whereas the Quattroporte S still has street cred in the Maserati world because it's a generally positive community.
Correct.
This is the top of the line. You'll always have someone looking for the GTS. There's a lot of S's out there.
Yeah.
Not a lot of GTSs.
Seen a lot of S's out there.
Another thing. Production numbers. I thought my SRT8 was rare. This makes that look like a Prius. Wow. This is...
That was going to be my next question. How easy is it to find a GTS?
I would say extremely hard is the most conservative statement.
How long has it taken you to find this car?
So actively looking, about 6 months. Actively looking. And that's because I was a little bit particular with my desires.
Yes.
There was a couple other cars that came up.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready to buy them.
Yeah.
But I will say on the whole, in the United States, it's probably about 10 to 13 cars are for sale a year.
God.
That is just keeping it straightforward.
Yeah.
Last year I looked a lot, and I only saw about 4 or 5, and that was from about August to December.
God, that reminds me of my Audi S8 search when I was doing the numbers. You know, when I first started searching, God, I was searching global, well, at least across the U.S., finding 10 cars within the spec. At the end time of my search, I was finding maybe 1 or 2 cars, and they went quick, and most of them.
Was it specific to your spec or just in general?
Specific to my spec, and actually started rolling into the general side of it because they were taking them, similar to this one.
Yeah.
Shipping them suckers overseas.
Yep, that is another thing, but this car, I really wanted a black one. A couple came up for sale in grays, and I would have been okay with a gray. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a great color. But there's some odd specs that came up. Like a white one came up for sale near my search. It was a really nice car, but spec was wrong because it had beige Alcantara interior with beige leather and like wood trim. And I think if you're getting a GTS, I think it should be the carbon.
More sporty, yeah.
And so that's another thing. These cars, they only made 1,841 for the world across 4 years of production. Wow. Because the base prices coming out of 2008, because they started production in 2009.
That's crazy.
To 2013 or 2012 technically. There's only 1,841, and it's because on paper it's not as impressive as other cars that were out at the time.
Wow.
440 horsepower and 4,391 pounds. It's a lot of weight for that kind of power to move.
Yeah, you can say that again.
So the power of this car has slightly become irrelevant, but that's not why I bought the car.
Okay.
But we're not even done with production numbers because I'm going to sound like a lawn chair Corvette guy.
Here we go.
Sorry,
Let's get it.
Sorry, Lloyd.
Hey, man, I wish I had on my
one of
jorts in
one
my
of 15 on a Tuesday in July, and with a technician smoking a cigarette.
right.
So, but these
Giving the numbers. I like specs.
are not even close to that production number in the United States, because
Oh, wow.
1,841 is for the world, not specific to the United States. When I had my SRT8, there was 3,500 units for North America. That was excluding Australia, and some cars went to Europe, and that was also actually excluding a couple cars that went to Canada. So,
But this one,
there is no official production numbers for the United States, but I would have to say, based on what's available at any given time,
man.
I think it's extremely conservative to say that there are less than 500 ever brought here.
Oh my
because
God.
the Quattroporte was not a sales, success here.
Yeah.
In Europe, this was a considerably more successful car. They made
Yeah.
like 18,000 of these over a 10-year production cycle,
Wow.
and most of those were for Europe.
That's
I think about
crazy,
only 4,000 or 5,000 Quattroportes out of that run came to the United States, and that's for all of them.
Jeez.
So to think about, like, this is extremely rare, especially considering this platform is not shared with anything other than the Gran Turismo.
Right.
The Gran Turismo, they did a Dodge Challenger effect. They took the same car and shortened the wheelbase and made the two-door. Most people don't know that it is a Quattroporte chassis, which is why Gran Turismo is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Because this is heavy.
Oh,
and it's also a steel chassis, which is weird because, like, it's an exotic manufacturer. Why wouldn't you make like an aluminum chassis?
Something light. Yeah, but
I don't know. If you ask
but it's sturdy,
you get
though.
upset.
You know, it's super, super sturdy.
Yeah.
I think part of it is for this car, especially, although it's a luxury sedan, it's still a sports sedan.
That's the thing. It is a incredible car when you're not even doing anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's really comfortable.
Yeah.
And
I heard you pulling up, and I love it.
That's the thing. I found the issue for me with this car, because this car to me is highly irritating a lot of the time.
Okay.
Brakes are never there. They're always a little bit too late.
Yeah.
But the way that I realized how this is meant to be driven and supposed to be driven is, number one, the 4.7 V8 started in an Alfa Romeo 8C.
Ooh.
If you didn't know that.
I did not know that.
So it started life in the 8C, and it had a dry sump oil system, and it had a single clutch transmission from Ferrari.
Oh, wow.
So to put a torque converter behind this engine and then change the oiling system to wet sump, you're going to have some inherent flaws. It's
going to be different. Yeah, right.
You realize very quickly this engine does not like to be driven in automatic.
It wants to be aggressively driven.
Which brings us to the next point.
Oh, my goodness.
Because older Quattroportes up to 2007 from 2003 had something called Duo Select.
Okay.
And Duo Select was a single clutch automated manual transmission, like a Ferrari F1 system or like an E-Gear from like a Lamborghini.
Okay, yeah, E-Gear.
And it was literally a Ferrari F1, but Maserati tuned it differently and called it Duo Select.
Yeah.
And if you watch Doug DeMuro's review, he shits on the car like crazy, talks about the styling not being very good, the performance not being very good, the transmission dulling the experience. And I'll be honest, he's 110% correct on all of his criticisms. I wish he would review a facelift, because that changes so much with these cars. And for me, the top of the GTS list of the things that are changed, exhaust.
That thing sounds amazing. This is a boss car, and it sounds amazing.
Thank you.
I know we discuss exhaust. Do you really? I mean, this thing sounds so good. I'm talking from the road. I'm standing here wiping Zeus down, and I heard him pull into all the way up here, and it just sounds absolutely amazing.
It's stock. Yeah. This is an era of loud that is not possible anymore.
God, this thing sounds so
good. Through regulations.
It sounds so good. Bro.
And I'm pretty sure this car probably breaks some of those decibel regulations, but this car was so rare that, like, no one checked to see if it would pass or not. And because it is that loud. I didn't think it would be, because from the inside, you'd be surprised. It doesn't seem like ear-splittingly loud from the outside.
Right.
Because it's a luxury car in a lot of aspects, mainly being the double pane glass.
Right.
And you can come up to the glass and you
Yeah.
can feel with your finger.
Yeah.
There is 2 panes of glass, and they put them together.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's very prominent in this.
Yes.
You know, it's crazy. Christ 300 has double pane as well.
It does, yeah.
But
yeah.
it wasn't as prominent as you couldn't really tell.
This is thicker.
Wow.
So with the windows up, it's very isolating, especially when you have sport mode off.
Oh, you can see it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this car, from the inside, it leaves a little bit to be desired because you kind of get addicted to that sound.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of things I'm going to be doing to address that volume issue for me personally.
Okay.
Rest in peace, everybody else, because they're going to be deafened. But
I'm ready for it.
So, but that is kind of the crash course of the GTS. Exhaust, transmission tuning, because by the way, this has, to continue on our duo select conversation,
yeah,
one of the big changes is a ZF 6-speed torque converter transmission. So the most
wow.
reliable part of the car replaced the most unreliable part of the car.
That's crazy.
Which was that transmission.
Wow.
Which is funny because it's a catch-22. Because when they put an automatic to address in the cars in the 2008 with the 4.2s,
yeah,
to address the transmission issues, they switched the oil system to wet sump, and when they did that, this engine was designed to be a dry sump.
Oh, wow.
So when you're changing the direction of the oiling system, something didn't really get translated in the engineering department with the cam caps.
That's very interesting, bro.
Because the cam caps, which have the cam variators
yeah,
on the ends,
yeah,
don't have a check valve.
Oh,
which
wow.
means when you're in a really cold situation,
yeah,
like below 40 degrees,
yeah, it's not telling you that
there is no ball bearing holding oil on the top end at all.
That's crazy.
So which is why these cars can have cam variator issues. And now, if you're looking for one of these and you're really looking to avoid it at all costs, late 2010, there's a certain engine serial number that fixed the issue from late 2010 and on. Okay. This isn't 2009, so please keep me in your prayers. And thank you so much.
I don't think this is going to get a lot of winter.
No, because I have some theories as to why it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Most people that seem to have drive these cars hard and in high RPMs, no issues. Because this engine was never designed to be driven at low RPM with sport mode off and letting automatic do its thing. This is a car that has to be driven in manual.
Gotcha.
It has to. And you'd think as a torque converter, it's going to be kind of sloppy. I am genuinely, shockingly impressed at the programming for this transmission. It is so good, so snappy. It blips the RPM on downshifts. It's incredible.
Rev matching in this thing sounds absolutely amazing.
So, speaking of sound, want to take a look at the engine real quick?
Yeah.
Which is,
yeah.
in my opinion, this is the greatest, and I have to use this term because people get mad if I say greatest sounding V8, because people will be like, oh, what about 458?
Yeah, which is my baby.
Yeah, no, and listen, I wouldn't disagree with you.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. For cross-plane crank V8s, this is the best sounding one to me.
It sounds this thing sounds amazing. So here's another thing we need to also consider is the fact that this motor got its heritage from Ferrari.
Yes, and a lot of people buy these cars and say, oh, I got a Ferrari engine. Well, listen, in my opinion, to keep it humble, gotta keep it humble, is a Ferrari engine is in a Ferrari.
Yes, it is.
This has never been in a Ferrari.
No, it's this heritage.
Because
never been
they changed the crank, the pistons, because it's not a flat plane crank. All Ferrari V8s are flat plane cranks. So this is a cross plane crank V8. This has never been in a Ferrari.
Right.
So the only thing that's retained, other than accessories and belts and things like that that are all Ferrari part numbers, the only thing that's retained from an actual Ferrari is the engine block, which is the F136 engine block.
Gotcha.
And which is shared with Ferrari F430 and Ferrari 458.
Nice.
So this engine is the descendant of two of the greatest sounding engines of all time. So in my opinion, if you're asking me about like a family of engines, which are the best sounding of all time,
that's it.
This is the best one because of the variation with cross plane and flat plane and the different sounds you can get. So there you go. Yes. 440 horsepower and like 378 pound-feet of torque. And that torque number is a little low for a car this heavy.
Yeah.
And that's something you kind of have to factor into your driving. And that's why this car hates automatic mode, because it wants that RPM. It wants to move.
It wants to be able to move higher RPMs.
And they made the torque relatively available for an engine that revs to 7,200. It is 2,750, so 2,750 RPM is where you get maximum available torque. So you can get your torque actually pretty early, but you'd realize 2,700 is actually a little bit high. So you have to still kind of rev it a little bit to feel that. Because if you're cruising below 2,500, you're in no man's land.
Yeah, right. It should be super quiet under 2,500.
It it's not that it's quiet.
It doesn't have power.
It doesn't feel like it has.
Yeah, there's nothing there. It's sitting almost like a cruising idle. You know, it's
100%.
Just, yeah.
So
I'm sorry, your carbon fiber steering wheel is just popping.
So yeah, let's take a look at the interior actually, because in 2009 there was only one steering wheel option. It was Alcantara, and I don't like that. So I found a Gran Turismo S carbon fiber steering wheel and threw it in, and the rest of the carbon in the car is entirely factory. Came out of the factory that way.
This thing is freaking awesome.
And for the record, that Apple CarPlay head unit is not stock, which is another reason why I bought this car specifically. So
tons of carbon fiber, guys. Tons of Alcantara leather.
And that Quattroporte badge on the dash there is the only one you'll find that says GTS in the whole car.
Oh, wow.
They never stated.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The seat feels so good.
It's a comfortable seat. People do have some complaints about there not being enough bolstering for a performance sedan, but you know, when you think about it, it was luxury first.
Luxury first, and I can feel it. It doesn't hug you as much, but you sink into it.
Yeah.
You actually sink into it. So this thing is super, super clean, bro.
Cool thing that my car is optioned with, massage seats.
Listen, I've already come to a conclusion that if I'm riding with Tim, I'm not sitting in the passenger seat. I'm sitting in the back.
Because of one reason, and why is that?
Because the seats recline and they massage.
I love it.
This thing is so beautiful, guys. Look.
Yeah, I got some stuff laying around back
there. Not
there.
even worried about that, man. Look at these seats. This is a boss's car. This is a boss's car, guys.
This is an enthusiastic boss's car.
This is a boss's car. Like, for real, for real. Red stitching. Carbon fiber continues to the back of the car, man. This thing, well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
And what's kind of interesting is when I bought this car.
That thing closed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How nice that closes. Oop, that was
that one not so much.
A little bit too soft.
So the thing is, when you're buying these cars, if anyone's interested in finding a GTS, it's important to understand that this realistically cannot be a daily driver because of the extensive things that could go wrong, availability of parts, things like that. And this car is not my daily driver. I've put daily driver miles on it already because I can't stop driving it, but I do have a second car because I know better. It's going to cost me dearly when certain things go wrong.
Yeah. Certain
things are really inexpensive, like certain parts are inexpensive, but this is kind of like the balancing act of this car. The easy to work on stuff has expensive parts.
Yeah. The
cheaper parts are harder to get to. And it's kind of no in between, really. For me though, thankfully, a lot of the stuff that I've only had to do, which I've had it for like a little over 2,200 miles. This car had some dry rotted belts on the front, and all I needed to do was belts, pulleys. I need to do a pulley tensioner because I got a little mouse in the engine bay. Technically, it's the spring is bending a little bit in the tensioner, so you hear a little squeak.
Yeah.
It does not affect the driving at all. Just makes a little mouse noise. The parking brake needed to be adjusted. That was a whole charade and a half when you when you were there for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I forgot you still have some of that footage, right? From when we were coming off the truck.
We'll got it off the truck. We'll put this in, man.
Yeah, that was a cool experience. So
yeah, we saw this one from the beginning. Had to hold out, guys. I apologize, but I gotta respect my brother, man. Gotta respect my brother.
So if you're looking for one of these, it's so imperative you do a PPI. And you need to go to a shop that knows what they're doing. Yeah. If you end up finding one in Arizona, a shop that I know called Crossroads looked over this car. They got pretty much everything as far as a PPI can get. They even nitpicked stuff,
Yeah.
which is what you want in a PPI. You
Yeah.
want to know everything.
Yeah.
So that was important to me. And the crazy thing is a little disappointed with the exterior of this car when I got it because it needs some major love in some places. But what's crazy is these cars are so hard to find. This is actually really good condition.
Yeah, so when we found it, he was feeling some kind of way about the interior.
Yeah.
I've seen these cars, maybe not exactly GTS, but the body style, right? This is the cleanest one I've ever seen. Although there are some things that needs to be taken care of, needs a little love, a little TLC.
100%.
This is still a very, very clean car, and I've never seen one here that looks this nice, especially with these miles and the age of this car. So this is a 09.
It's got 34,000
like
miles on it.
Sheesh.
And what's crazy is you may think that's crazy low. That's actually driver mileage for these because these did not get driven.
Yeah.
Base MSRP of $140,000 in 2009.
Yeah.
And that shot up even with options. So this one, because it doesn't have front parking sensors and it's got certain options, I think it's probably around 147, 148. If I'm keeping it like realistic. I'm so happy this car did not get option with front parking sensors because god damn would I be so annoyed with them. If you can try to find one that didn't get those optioned. It has rear parking sensors, which is fine because they only come on when I'm in reverse.
Right.
But front parking sensors will be on
all the time when you're driving,
and you may experience some issues with them.
Yeah.
I've never felt a reason to need the front parking sensors, and especially because I came from the 300.
Yeah.
To me, mentally, this car is like, it's easy to place it on the road and it's easy to park it because I'm already used to the size.
Already used to the size.
It is a long car. This is a 204-inch long sedan. This is an inch and a half longer than a Chevrolet Tahoe.
Good Lord.
It is a big sedan. And that's...
That nose, man. This thing had a long beak, brother.
100%. And an improved beak from 2008 too, because I just don't like the look of those early cars. And it's just advised to stay away from them because a lot of those cars got really cheap, really fast, and did not get taken care of. So service history, PPI, so important with these cars. I cannot stress it enough. I did the PPI. The seller of this car was pretty transparent with me. I wish he was a little bit more transparent with me on some things. Nice guy regardless. But
I don't think that guy knew what he had also. So.
Well, he was treating me like he knew what he had. So the thing is nice guy and everything, and I can't really fault the seller of this car because I did get this from a dealership. We did dealer to dealer.
Yeah.
So I bought it through my work at Illinois Motors. So shout out to Illinois Motors for even helping me do that. That was cool. And basically after that, I just kind of realized, like, you know what? He wasn't that transparent about a few things, but that's just the scope of how rare these cars are and how rare they are in this condition.
Yeah.
That it's almost impossible to get anything close to this. And that's why I got over it quickly, because the interior is where the quality shined for this thing.
This thing is awesome.
And I know for a fact that anybody putting a $3,000, because it's over $3,000 to do an Apple CarPlay upgrade on these. It's a huge deal. So if someone did already, guess what? That meant that they were driving it and they were servicing
they were appreciating
it. Because a $3,000 head unit is a huge upgrade if you have to deal with Maserati maintenance on top of that. So you can tell that this car's been taken care of.
If you might have had this car, they was able to afford this car.
100%. So that is why I bought it. I jumped on this one. I probably paid a little bit too much, but the problem is I have not seen a single other one since I bought it that's anywhere as near as nice.
I still don't think you paid too much. And the reason why I say that is because how do you spec a car that you can't find?
I agree. I agree with you.
And I think that because of the miles, and if you put in the category of similar cars, year, model, and how this thing's spec'd, I think you did very, very well. That's just what I'm trying to say.
I felt like I may have pulled the trigger a little too early, but then I have to kind of comfort myself because I realize, like...
What's too early on a car you can barely find?
Because here's the thing. It's just about June.
Yeah.
And I found this car in early April.
Yeah.
That's how long. And there has not been a single nice one as nice as mine. The seller
I
actually,
still have looked and I have not seen one.
the seller that sold me this actually acquired another one, but it's very upgraded. So if you don't care about like seat inserts or dyed blood red, and a lot of the interior appointments are upgraded to like from piano black to like a full-blown like blood red, then that's probably a decent car. But it's just important, get that PPI done. Huge deal, guys, because there's corrosion issues, bushing issues. That is such a big deal with this car. Suspension is going to set you back. And what's crazy is this is the GTS and it has the Bilsteins, right? Non-adjustable Bilsteins. And you'll still be dealing with control arm bushings, tie rods, things like that. You're going to be dealing with that stuff. But realistically, that's the extent of it. That is just keeping it honest. You're going to deal with window regulator issues. You're going to deal with a couple of electronic gimmicks.
But you're going to have those issues sometimes.
Yeah, especially if you're not driving it constantly.
Right.
This car had more electrical stuff going on when I wasn't driving it that much. I was like kind of afraid. I started driving a lot more. It drives so good. When I started finding out the limits, pushing it harder. Last cruise I did to, Mexico.
Yeah.
I was hitting these crazy big sweeping turns at 115 miles an hour. And
look at this thing,
it
man.
was rock solid.
God.
So rarity, all that stuff aside, the reason I bought this, it is without question to me the most underrated performance sedan and presents the biggest opportunity to own a potentially increasing value car, because Quattroporte 6 and the Ghibli may have ruined the pricing of these and plummeted them down. The people with the MC20 and the new Grecale and Maserati making a big comeback, this is potentially going to be the ultimate Quattroporte.
Yes.
Wow. There you go. By the way, I just need to say a couple things. There was a sun-faded badge in this, so I replaced it. This is not factory because it's supposed to be blue with red. I thought it looked cooler with black, so I did that.
I like
I'm
the black.
impressed. That was nail polish, by the way. Those GTS stripes. By the way, guys,
job.
That's how you can, that is pretty good, right?
Good job.
So the front end was faded on this car, so a lot of the factory GTS striping. And
just to let you know, GTS, the Triton has red striping in it.
Yes. So it was faded off. I filled it with nail polish.
Good job.
On Sunday night. So that
looks so good. I thought you bought a new badge. Good on you. That's bro, that's how you do your car.
This
is your car.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Listen, guys.
We can talk about this, right? But now I think you need to drive this because you have to understand what this is about.
I'm going to have to drive this. I have to drive this. But you'll see that on the next video. I have to do something right now, guys. You don't understand. So listen. My brother came from 300 family. Deep in our heart, right? So he was he had the black joint, Heisenberg all the way. He moved over and he made the big switch, got rid of the 300, and it was time, right? It was time. Made the big switch, still kept the black car, and still got a boss car. So it's one of those things. You know how I am with stuff, man. We got to keep my brother on the up and up.
What is this? Oh, are you
Heisenberg hat, baby. Heisenberg got a black hat. It's right there. It's
okay.
Y'all see that?
That's fucking insane. Thank you.
Look at this. Look at the front of that, baby.
That is sick.
Yeah. That's Maserati.
Wow.
We got that from Maserati.
Dude, what?
So we had to hook my brother up, man.
Thank you.
Congratulate him on his car. He do so much for me. He helped me out. I got to be able to give back sometime.
Thank you, man. Damn, I love it. That's awesome. This is the third Maserati hat I've been gifted in the ownership.
Are you serious?
But I like this one probably the most.
There you go, brother.
This is discreet.
Yes.
It's not big Trident.
It's not. Yes. It's very low key, but it's very much so Maserati. You can't hide that.
Thank you, man.
You're very welcome, brother.
This is so sick. I love it. I really do love it. Thank you.
Had to hook my bro up, man. So listen, man. Next video. Yeah, this one's kind of long. I don't want to tear y'all up too much with this. Next video, we're going to be driving this thing. And I promise you, it's not going to be average. I promise you. Yeah. beak. Look at that beak. Look, we've done these walk-arounds a few times. Ooh, look at the beak on this baby. You know how we do, baby. Y'all know we don't do the norm around here. No, sir. Ooh, look how that sun kissing it. Look how that sun kissing it. Sheesh. Y'all know we don't do the normal around here, bro. Why is that, man? We were designed from greatness. Guys, because we were designed from greatness, guys, you have the right, the responsibility to never, ever, ever be average. So, guys, don't be average. Yeah.